Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 23, playing through our collection, finally starting the E's. E as in echo, not to be confused with D.
Or B or C.
Or B or C
Z,
or any of the other sound-alike
P,
letters. Anyway.
Or T.
Anyhow, but before we get started, please give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you want notification of future content.
And you can follow us on all of our social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok.
Now TikTok too, yeah. So anyhow, let's get started.
We have to go backwards because of a clerical error.
That's a good way to put it.
Would you like to explain?
Yes. Okay, so we have a lot of games that begin with the word the. Yes, and I swear I changed them all to have in my spreadsheet, because I keep this very extensive Excel spreadsheet. It's the only way you can keep track of 1,600 games. So evidently I didn't change this game. It still said the. So we completely missed it.
So we got her played.
We did.
This is the Duke.
The Duke.
This is a fantastic chess style game.
It is a very good chess style game.
Each piece has its movement on it. As you move it, you flip it over. Now it has a different move.
Yeah. We first played this at a local
game cafe.
It was a bar.
Pub.
I mean,
gaming pub.
There you go. And we both really liked it. We found it on a used shelf somewhere in Florida a few years later and picked it up. And you love this game.
I really like this game.
I'm lukewarm on this game.
Because she hasn't won it yet.
I can appreciate it for what it does and how it plays. I don't care for it, though, to put it that way. So with the Duke, you are, like I said, it's a chess style game. There's your board. Simple as that. Peers of the Realm. I wonder if that's the people who, I never noticed the back of the board. I don't know. Anyway, your pieces.
Squirrel.
Yes, exactly. Your pieces look like this. They're not your standard chess pieces. They are
little wooden squares. And each one has two sides on it. You have your starting side. So when they first come out of the bag, they start on the side without the dark square in the middle, without the defense mechanism. And then the big thing is every time you move a piece, and it shows you what their movements are. And there's different icons on here to show you whether they can just move to that space, whether they can jump to that space, they jump over things, whether they slide, whether they just simply do combat and whoever's in that space is taken out if they wish to do it. However you want to do it. There's all different icons that show up on each of these tiles. Or they can command
some tiles can command other tiles near them to do things. So, but as you play them, you flip them over and now their powers are different. So like this one now, the movement is completely different. Here the marshal can slide and jump, but if you flip him over, now he can just command and move. So just different things. So you start with 3 pieces on the board, your Duke and 2 footmen.
Yep.
And then each turn you are either moving a piece or you're pulling a piece out of the bag and putting them down near your Duke.
Or you can do
there's a special action. Yeah, there's a special action that 2 of them have. There are 4 special actions that are outlined here. We've only got 2 pieces that have them, though. So I'm assuming there are some expansions that have the others.
That's what it's called.
There you go. We never use them because we never get those pieces out before somebody wins the game. And I almost won yesterday.
She actually would have won. You actually would have won last night.
If I had seen the move.
If you had seen the move, and I wasn't going to tell you that you had a move to take out my Duke.
I did, and I totally missed it.
And then 2 moves later, I took out hers.
I was so mad. But anyway, so this is one that I do not necessarily enjoy playing. Again, I see the elegance of it. I see exactly what it does, and I do appreciate it for that. I just don't care for it. But I'm not a big chess player either, so we are going to move this into the travel collection.
Because if I ever want to play it, I know where it's at.
You know where it's at. And when we go on some of these events, and yesterday's a perfect example, chess is one of the most requested games by teenagers. Who knew?
Yeah.
So we want to be able to pull this one out and say, here, if you really like chess, try this one. Because it's the exact same type of game. So for that reason, and the fact I don't like being beat at it, this one's going into the travel collection. That is the Duke. All right. So the next one we have is also a small clerical error.
Yep.
Because, and this was more intentional. I fully intended on doing this one in the V's because we have...
Well, let's
pull it out, yeah. Make better explanation. So it's Disney Villainous. So I fully intended on doing this one in the V's because we have Marvel Villainous also. But we were going through the RD list on BGG and making sure we caught everything, and Greg asked about this one. So we talked about it and we decided, all right, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Let's go ahead and put it in the D's, and we'll put Marvel Villainous in with the M's, and
we'll
call
put
it
with
a
all
day.
the Marvel stuff.
Right, with all the Marvel, and that actually makes sense. So clerical error, but a conscious clerical error in this case.
Yeah, we don't have all the expansions. I think we're missing at least one.
We are missing
maybe
one,
two. I'm
I
not sure. I
think.
can't remember exactly how many expansions are actually out. We have 4 of them.
Yeah. And so yeah, we've got these guys, all 4 of these, plus the base game. And I know we're missing the one with Syndrome. I don't know what it's called. I don't know about any others. So, but anyhow,
Stop collecting them.
Villainous, yeah, we stopped collecting mostly because of space. We enjoy the game. I definitely enjoy, it's good at 2-player. It's fine at 2-player. It's better at 3 or 4. We've played it as high as 7.
Yep.
Don't do that.
No. I don't even think we've played every single character in any.
We have not played every
all of
single
them, so-
character, but we have played something out of every box.
Yeah.
I know that much. We have played something out of every box, but we have not played every single character now. But until whoever puts this game out comes out with a big box option, which, FYI,
I think it's Disney, isn't it?
people are screaming for.
Wonder Forge.
And I have seen so many posts asking for a big box on this game. So many people. And until that happens, I'm not buying anymore because I can't store it. So Wonder Forge, not that you'll ever see this, but please get us a big box option if you want me to buy more. Anyway, how Villainous plays. Villainous it takes the Disney theme and kind of turns it on its head. You are now playing villains instead of heroes. So every box comes with, well, the other boxes all come with 3. This one comes with 6. But it comes with 6 characters, and your pieces
are very abstract.
They're abstract, but they're
You have it
beautiful.
upside down.
Oh, I have it upside down. I was
Yes.
going to say.
You
So
have
the
him standing on his
pieces,
crown.
can you see them there? Are absolutely
I'm
beautiful.
sure you'll put up a picture.
There we go. I'm looking in the monitor to see if I can see them. So you've got your playing pieces, and each round, each character has their own board and their own winning conditions. Like Prince John here, his objective is to start his turn with at least 20 power. Well, power are these chips that you get from going places, but Prince John has to spend power to do almost anything. So it's hard to accumulate up to that 20. Let's see, Jafar's extras are falling out there. Jafar says he has to start his turn with the magic lamp at Sultan's Palace and Genie under your control. So everybody has 2 decks of cards. So like, well, I've got Captain Hooks is right here on top. So everybody has their main deck, which is the color of their playing piece and their board. And then they also have their fate deck. Well, this is the deck you're playing, and you get 4 cards in your hand, and you can play them out, and places that you go on your board indicate whether you can play a card or move cards around once they've been played, collect power, discard cards to draw back up to 4, things like that. But where this deck shines, I think, is the fate deck. Or where this deck shines, where this game shines, is the fate deck. The fate deck is out there, and there is a couple options on your board where you can take a fate action, and when you do, you go to one of your opponents and you draw 2 cards from their fate deck, look at them, and then play them out. Play one of the 2 out. Somewhere in their kingdom. And their kingdom being
which hinders what they're doing, and they got to take care of it.
Right, because when somebody plays a card on your kingdom, they play it covering up 2 of your action abilities in one of your locations. So now if I were to go to this location, instead of being able to do a fate action and collect a power, play a card, and what is that one? That one's the vanquish, or vanquish an enemy. Now all I can do is vanquish and play a card. I can't collect and do a fate action. So it covers up those actions until I get rid of this card. So, and the cards are all different. Like, this one's Captain Hook's. If Captain Hook moves to TikTok's location, Captain Hook must immediately discard his hand. So that limits his ability. It limits the person playing Captain Hook. Unless he wants to discard his hand, which may actually be a good option for him, who knows? He can't go to where this card is sitting. Attack Taunt. This is an item. Taunt to a hero. Captain Hook must defeat heroes with taunt attached to them before defeating other heroes. So it means that one of the heroes takes precedence over everything else. So it's just, I like the way these cards play out. It definitely gives a lot of interaction in the game. So I do like the game. I do. That being said, we don't play it enough to warrant buying any more expansions unless we get the big box where everything can be in one place. Oh, well, that's all right. Just lay it there. We'll
Yeah,
fix it
because
later.
each character actually has their own book to tell them how the cards in their deck works.
Yes. So like here's Captain Hook's book. So this gives you all the information. So everybody has the main instruction booklet, and then everybody has their own personal little instruction booklet that tells them all about their character, their winning conditions, and any special cards in their deck. It explains so that you know how they work. And okay. Now the hard part, I got to figure out how these go back in.
You had to take them out.
I know. Oh yeah, I had to show them. That guy goes there, I think. Nope. Yeah, he goes right there. Ha, that's one. Okay. So anyhow, this one, we actually have a version of the base game in both collections. It will stay in both collections. These are all just in our collection, and they will stay there. I don't see a reason to put all of these extras in the other collection.
Because sometimes people want to play it anyway, so and we'll pull off the shelf from time to time.
Oh yeah, and I do like it. I do like the game. It's a good card game. So, all right. Anyway, that is Disney Villainous, and that finishes off the Ds. Finally,
that we know of.
All clerical errors corrected. Okay, it finishes off the clerical errors of the Ds. So if we have to go back now, it's because I bought something new. Anyway, all right, put these aside.
So now we get to start the E's. First off is a little card game called Elements. We got this at Gen Con this year. It was in one of those pay so much for this box and you get what you get.
Yeah.
And on first look, I was like, it's a little card game. Okay. This is actually a really interesting.
It's got some serious strategy in it.
I mean, it's very simple, but there is some strategy in it.
Yeah. All right, so point tokens, just a little bitty flower, wood.
Stars.
Yeah, nothing major. They're wood, so I mean, they're nice. So the way this game plays.
These are terror-sized cards.
Yeah, these are nice. I mean, these are thick cards. So everybody gets 6 cards, and then whatever's left goes out of the game. It's just a 2-player game. So not all cards are in every game, and they're just numbered 1 to 6. That's all the cards are. The goal of the game is to have fewer points in your hand than is in the central display. However, it has to be, if 2 people have less, you have to be closest to the number in the central display. Get the points.
Well, yeah.
So there's a little bit of a trick there. You can't just call it because you have less points.
Yeah.
So each turn, you have your 6 cards you're playing. You can do one of 3 things.
You can discard a 6,
Discard
which
a 6.
removes it from the game.
Out of the game altogether.
Or you can discard a card to the display.
Right. You can take a card.
And you're going to fan out the display because you want to make sure
everybody can see the totals.
So when you put a card in a display, you call out what the total number is out in the display.
Right.
Or you can pick up a card from the display, but that lays in front of you and it never goes back in your hand.
Right.
So through the whole turn, you're looking at how many points do I have in my hand with any cards down and what's out there. Yeah. Do I have less than
what's out
there. So if I did, I would knock.
Yeah.
And then whoever knocked puts it out. The player who didn't knock looks at the hand. Their hand, does it come in underneath?
Does it meet the criteria?
Yeah,
right?
and then they show their hand. Now, if their hand came in underneath the points there, then whoever's the highest or closest
Whoever's
to
closest
the points
to this
out there
number.
and under it will
So,
get
like,
the 2 points.
If this is my ending hand and this is what was down, then mind you, there would be a lot more cards because both of us would have been playing. That's 9. Here I have, 8?
Mm-hmm.
So as long as he didn't have a 9, I'm good. It's a cute little card game. The components are great. We're going to keep it. This sits in our collection, and we're going to go ahead and hold on to it because it is just a cute little travel card game. This is something we can take with us and break out at a restaurant while we're waiting for dinner. Gosh, maybe we should have done that the other night. We sat there long enough.
We didn't have it with us.
No, we did not. So, anyhow, that is Elements. Very under the radar little card game put out by Pegasus Spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're going to hold on to it.
We'll start over here. This is a game that we've been trying to get to play, but it's been a 3 to 5 player. We've had this for quite a few years, and we just now got to play it.
And I honestly wondered multiple times if we shouldn't have pulled this out in the Bs because it's Battlecruisers. But on BGG, and that's how I've been doing this, it is listed as Eminent Domain Battlecruisers, even though on the box it just says Eminent Domain Universe.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, yeah. So we put it under Eminent Domain. Supposedly it's in the same world. It does not have much in common at all.
A little bit. I mean,
The artwork.
yeah, the art
about
is
it.
definitely it.
Anyhow, it's a 3 to 5 player game, and for that reason, it just has never come off the shelf for us. We've had it for years, and it has literally sat here with a blue tag on it, meaning we haven't played it for years. I'll try not to drop things this time. So, the way this is played, it does have the victory chips in common. So there's a stack of victory chips out in the middle of the table, depending on how many players. That's determined by the number of players. Everybody has an identical deck of cards. Now, the key to this one, though, is that you are, and their player board. The player board has 2 sides. You have your normal in play, and then you have your red alert. Red alert is when you have no cards left in your hand. You're in danger of being kicked out of the game.
One
card.
2 cards.
It's 1. It's not 2. I think it's either 1 or completely out of cards.
I think it says on the other side.
So, but anyway, everybody has an identical set of cards.
Yeah, 1 card left. Red alert.
Okay.
No card left. You're eliminated.
In a 3-player game, you are literally using just 6 cards out of this entire deck.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has the exact same 6 cards. You use 7 in a 4-player and 8 in a 5-player. But you're picking, and the rule book actually gives a whole list of sample card sets. And then, or you can just do it randomly, however you want to do it. But you're using just 6 cards out of the deck. 6 to 8. And these are the cards you're sifting through. So every round, you start with 1 in your discard pile immediately. You start with 1 in your discard pile and 1 in your recovery zone.
Recovery zone, yes.
So your starting hand, if you're playing 3-player, is literally 4 cards. Everybody picks their action, puts them face down in front of them, and when everybody's ready, you flip them over. If any of the cards are identical and anybody chose the same actions, you actually do this clash effect down here, which most of the cards say no effect or something.
It gives you damage or whatever.
It gives you damage, or this one gives you a victory point.
Oh, that's right.
So there's different effects if 2 people choose the same thing. If everybody's is different or whoever's is different, then they do the main effect on the card.
In order by the
In order by the number, yes. So you have to go in order because that could affect something. So you're putting this up in your play area, and then you're at the end of the round, at the end of each round, this card goes to your recovery zone, and your recovery zone card comes into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You never touch your discard unless you have a card that says you can. But throughout the game, things are making you discard cards. You can't pick them back up unless you have something that tells you you can.
Yeah, I started this game with the only card that allows you to pull cards out of the discard pile. That card was in the discard pile.
Because
so
it's
I was
random.
kind of hemmed at the beginning there.
So it was actually very, very interesting play. I've never played another game like this. I seriously thought this one was either going to hit the sale pile or at the very least be moved into the other room because of the player count. But after playing it with...
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Put that down there.
We got a chance to play it with Doug from Co-op of Nerds last weekend. And we're going to hold on to it. It was actually a lot of fun. So I would be curious to play this in 5-player and see how it differs. So,
yeah,
but
it's probably even more interesting.
Oh, I imagine so. But anyway, that is Eminent Domain Battlecruisers, and it will stay in our collection.
So while we're on Eminent Domain,
Might as well pull out the big guy.
this is one of my favorite
Deck builders.
deck building games.
We got this guy off of the clearance shelf at our local game store at Saltier's years ago.
Yeah.
Never heard anything about it.
The
So
planets.
this guy we've gotten since all of the expansions because we just love this game. So you've got your base board and you have 5 cards out here. And so the expansion adds a 6th card that in the base game you only get 1 copy of, and when it's gone, it's gone. But this one you've got just the 5 cards, and each card does something different. The whole concept of this game is you are finding and colonizing planets. You have 5 cards in your hand. You play 1 card out and do the action ability on it.
Yeah, and each
if you
card,
choose to.
It'll tell you what the action is and then what the roll is.
So, and that is completely optional. Then you pick up a card out of the center display and you do the roll ability on it.
Of that card.
The roll ability can be followed by everybody else at the table if they choose. If they don't, they draw a card out of their deck and they start their turn with more cards in their hand.
And the person who picked the roll has a leader action that they can do, but nobody else can do.
That nobody else can do. Right. You build your deck by choosing your roll action because that's how you're pulling cards out of the center display. It's the only way you're getting new cards, but you're getting 1 new card every round. Some of the actions here, Survey lets you look at planet tiles, and there are starting tiles, which are hard cardboard, and then there are just regular cards. You draw so many cards out of the deck. You keep so many based on how many cards you laid down, or if you're the leader that round. But that's surveying, so you get to basically find planets and leave them this side up, because you haven't colonized them yet. Then there is the warfare. You can pick up ships and then ultimately use those ships to take over planets based on the numbers here on the back of the planets. Then there's the colonize, if you want to do it the peaceful way. Colonize, you can either put a colonized card under a planet, which means you're investing time into that planet, or once you have enough colonized cards down there, again, based on the numbers on the back of the planet, then you can play another colonized card and colonize the planet and pull all your cards back and put them in your discard pile and flip your planet over, so now you can use it.
Each planet has, some of them have resources you can do, which she'll get to that part.
That's next.
Some of them are worth victory points, and some actually gives you an extra power, like you get a hold of an extra card.
Yeah.
Or...
yeah, like here's one that gets you get an extra card.
Yeah.
You get an extra card every round once you colonize it.
Or it also gives you... like, let me see that this is an expansion.
Oh yes, that actually, that one.
It actually gives you more of the icons on the stuff. So like if you're doing that and you have this planet good, you had an extra one that you can get an extra card with.
So for every icon you play out of your deck, and these are not deck cards, but out of every icon you play out of your deck of a certain symbol or from a planet you have already colonized or taken over by warfare, it boosts that action, which means you can do that action just a little bit better. Like for survey, instead of looking at 2 cards, now you can look at 3 or 4 or 5, depends on how many cards you put down. In warfare, that's how many ships you can pick up. In colonize, that's how many cards you're putting out at one time, so you're investing that much more effort into your time. Then we get to produce and trade.
And it does what it does. It produces any icons on your planets that say that are...
So it produces
the
production symbols on your planet, which ultimately you're going to turn in for victory points, which is how you win the game.
Or then you trade it in
for
what you have on it, you get victory points, and then research.
And then research, that's where these other cards come in. Let me put this survey card back. So the research, once you have so many similar planets out, and there's all different kinds of planets, but you have to have 3 matching types of planets before you can do it. So once you have 3 matching types out, you can do the research action. The research action There are 3 decks, and they're identified down here. Like this one here, I have to have at least one red planet done. Metallic planet, I'm sorry. I have to have at least one metallic planet and 3 research icons. I have to have 3 cards in my hand or planets that give me 3 research icons. So, and then take that research roll. So I'm pulling an icon out of the center deck, and then I can pick up this card if I choose. But there's a whole deck of them you can look through. These give you more icons you can use in the future. They give you action abilities you can use as an action. So they just give you more flexibility. There are some that are permanent, and you actually lay down in front of you, and they give you a permanent ability.
Yeah, those they have 2 different things on.
Oh yeah,
one on each side. They're
double-sided.
different, so you got to pick which one you're going to use.
Yeah,
So.
and then you play it down in front of you, and it stays there for the rest of the game. So it's just a really neat deck builder. We have had a lot of fun with this one. We've mostly only played it every 2-player. We've played it 3-player.
We played 3-player a couple times. We played it this week.
Yeah.
Last time we played it with more.
So great game. We don't play the expansions as much just because there we have to start reading the rules again, and we can pull this guy out and just play it. So, but yeah, great game. It will stay in our collection. That is Eminent Domain.
Next, we have a collection of them. We have 4 of the same type of game with different IPs.
Yes.
So first out of the box was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Then we had Journey Through Time. We have Busy Town. And we have Disney.
These were all found at Goodwill. They're all in the travel collection. And we had actually bought a copy of this one for our granddaughter years ago, and we had to play it on the living room floor that Christmas
Day. It's like a 6-foot board.
It is a huge board. We're not going to pull them out. I have pictures of all of them. So, and we really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for her. These 2 play identical. These 2 play exactly identical. So
this one's a little less detailed.
This one's a little less detailed.
Bigger.
Yes. This is a little more detailed, but the play style is identical. Each person has their own mover, and you are moving along the path, and if you land on certain spaces or the spinner goes to a certain space, then you are doing a search, and everybody participates in the search and then moves if you're successful. The game is like this one, everybody has to be to the ferry together before you can take the ferry spaces and get over to the island. You win the game if you can get to the island before, I don't remember what it was, but it was eating all the picnic food. I don't remember what the animal was though. This one, the clock starts on 1 o'clock, and the spinner has a couple of spots that move the clock 1 or 2 spaces. If you can get to the castle before the clock strikes midnight, you win the game. If the clock strikes midnight first, then everybody loses together. But everybody has to be there at the same time. So that's those 2. This guy plays a little different. Same basic concept in terms of the spinner, but it actually has... This one has this really neat spinner where you have a gas tank you have to keep track of over here for your air balloon. Everybody's using the same piece. We're all operating the air balloon, the balloon mover. So that's the same piece. Meanwhile, you're spinning. If you hit the blue or the red, you're doing a search. If you hit one of these, blue or red search, the cards are double-sided. If you hit one of these spots, then you're reducing your fuel gauge. And then every time you do a search, depending on how many you find, this number changes. So you could potentially move 12 spaces in one turn. If you manage to spin that. So this one, the board was really cool.
Well, this one also had everybody played a certain character who gave you a certain power.
It had asymmetric abilities, which I thought was really neat for a game geared toward children.
And it's definitely a journey through time because you start in the prehistoric ages and you end up in space.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. So, but these guys, the boards are pretty much identical other than the artwork. This guy's completely different. These are all cooperative. This guy's competitive.
Mhm.
This one, you are searching for R2D2, not on the board, but in a stack of victory points. This is your board. It's all the different planets that you see.
From episode 1
Right.
to episode 9.
So, like this one here is Jakku. And so there's Jakku.
Pronounce that one. She couldn't pronounce it.
Kashyyyk? I think Kashyyyk. Corsicant. And Bespin. Corsicant, is that how it's pronounced?
I think they called it Coruscant.
Coruscant. Okay, whatever.
You're going to have Star Wars people.
I'm going to have,
thinking,
yep. Genosis.
Email her
Genosis.
at the meeplesociety@mail.com. Or I'm sorry, meeplesociety@mail.com.
Anyway, Hoth. And yeah, I'm not going to try that one. Mustafar. So anyway, you've got all these different planets, Naboo and Tatooine and Dagobah and Endor, and then the Death Star. The Death Star doesn't flip though. It's
No,
just one second.
just one side.
So you've got all these different planets, and everybody has their ship that they're flying around, and you can fly from one planet to another in between turns as part of your turn. So there's cards on here that identify the things that you could be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So you can maneuver yourself to a planet that has more of one of these things to set yourself up for your turn. And then you roll the die, and the die roll determines what happens.
What number you're
What
looking
number
for.
you're looking for, or if you have to flip a planet over, or whatever. There's a number of different things the die roll does. But when you have to start searching for something, you search for the item on the card in the number slot. And then when whoever gets the most pulls the victory points, and R2D2 is in one of these victory point chips.
And if you find R2D2, you win.
Well, if you find R2D2, the game is over. And then you add up all your victory points. Just so happens,
I found it on
R2D2
the
is
very
worth
first
3
draw.
points. Everything else is worth 1, and he found it on the very, very first search. Not bitter at all. Anyway, so final decision on this one. This was a really cute version of the game. I did not expect it to be competitive.
Yes.
Ultimately, we have decided that we are going to keep these two in the travel collection, and these two are going to hit the sale pile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep more than one of this size box and this style, and I just think this one offers more in the gameplay because of the asymmetric player powers, and it was just really interesting to do. And the board is really good, very detailed and very elaborate in terms of the different time periods. I just found it really interesting. So we're going to keep these two. These two are hitting the sale pile, and that is I Found It. Let me get these guys off of here. All right.
Next, we have a hilarious exploding game called Exploding Kittens. We have the party pack and the NSFW pack,
Right.
but this one's dying
This one, we need to figure out how to get the batteries out. and
because it
replace
sounds like
them
a dead cow.
It doesn't make the
It
noise
doesn't
it should
make
anymore.
the mariachi sound
I
it used to.
found both of these at Goodwill. So yeah, this one plays up to 10 players. So basically, that it's a party game, and each card does something different. You can play multiple cards to do something. I don't remember all of it. I got
Multiple
knocked out
cats.
fairly quickly. Yeah, they're all cat cards.
You play cats? Yeah.
You play cats down. You have to draw a card every round. You can optionally play cats down to do something. Like this guy says, to see the future, privately view the top 3 cards of the deck so you know what's coming. Double slap. You can end your turn without drawing a card and force other players to take 2 turns in a row, which means they're drawing 2 cards. And then there's the nope cards. You can stop people from doing things, which
Nope.
I had a handful of and didn't use because I was not thinking right. There is, and I'm looking for, and then there's the Exploding Kittens. If you pull one out of the deck and you have no way to defend yourself, and there's only one type of card that defends it, then
You explode and
you're out of the game. I came out of the game very fast on this last one. So it's a cute party game. we're going to hold on to this one. This guy, we started to pull out and then realized we had a 7-year-old or a 5-year-old in the room, and there is some not appropriate language. Since a lot of these games go to high school events, this guy's going to hit the sale pile. Because I don't want to risk it accidentally ending up at one of these events.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll hold on to this guy. So, but that is Exploding Kittens, a little party game about cats.
Exploding cats.
Mark would
and
love it.
Potato cats and weird cats.
Yes. Okay, that's those.
Next, Mark would like it because the cats are exploding.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so now we have a little kids game, I believe, Eureka.
Yes. This was another Goodwill find.
Mm-hmm.
When I got it, it was missing a couple pieces. I didn't know how integral that was to it, so we've held on to it. We finally got a chance to play it. We've never taken it anywhere because of the missing pieces.
This is basically a memory matching
It is
game.
a memory. It's not even matching. It's just a memory game. You have a stack full of these. All these tiles have rocks on the back.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side
that's
are
right.
the icons, and you're looking for
The gold.
So there's 8
Hence the
different
name
gold
Eureka.
cards. Right. There's 8 different gold cards. 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s. So you're laying out this giant grid of cards, and you're moving your little people around the board based on a die roll. I thought. Yep.
Right there.
Based on a die roll, you're moving your people around the board and uncovering where you land, and then dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find a gold piece and you don't already have a 3 gold piece claimed, then it stays turned over, but you put down your, so everybody starts the game with 4 pieces, 4 gold chips basically. And you put down the matching number on there, and you've claimed that piece. Actually, there's 4 of each one, I think, because there's one for every
because it's
player.
2 to 4 players.
So,
But the first player who gets them all wins the game.
right. So the first player to use all of their chips wins the game. But there's danger cards and keep out cards and lantern cards, which lets you look at things around you. So there's different cards that do different things, but the goal is to find the gold and lay claim to it. Now the problem is this is where the memory piece comes in. If you find the gold, you have to show everybody where it's at. Well, you have to show everybody what you pulled, regardless, whether it's just a rock, that's a keep out, whether that's a danger, whether it's just another rock, or whether it's danger or gold or whatever it is. And then after that turn, that piece gets turned back down. Your piece stays on it. Nobody else can claim that if it's the gold. But the danger gets turned back down, the land gets turned down, and other people can again land on it. But if you've already got a 3 and you turned up a 3, you have to show everybody you have a 3, and then it gets turned back down. Everybody else has to remember it, and now it's a race to get there to use your 3 token.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's missing a rock tile and a danger tile. Not a big deal. But it's also missing the number 4 token for one of the players, and that is a big deal. I could make them. I could make some extra tokens. That's not a huge issue. But at the same time,
would be easily known what it is.
yeah. We've decided that just because it is geared towards small children, and we need to cut that down drastically, we're going to go ahead and put this guy probably back to Goodwill because of the missing pieces. I may just scavenge it out.
Yeah,
and sell
scavenge it out and
pieces.
sell pieces for the channel.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't decided exactly what's happening, but unfortunately it won't be kept as a game to take to events. But I will probably scavenge it and find people who have missing pieces also.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that is Eureka.
Okay, next, another little kids game. This is Elephant Trunk. The game that Elephant's Trunk. The game that packs that's packed with fun.
Again, little kids game, 4+. This guy, another Goodwill find. So you got all these little suitcases, and I love these. Mm-hmm. These are absolutely adorable.
They're like little secret boxes.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you've got little suitcases, and no matter how many players you play with, all 4 suitcases are set out in the middle of the table, and each one has 6 pieces in it. So you divide up the pieces based on
player, if you have 2 players, each player takes 2 colors. If not, everybody takes their own color. And you're rolling the die. That tells you which suitcase you have to put one of your pieces into. So if I roll the green die, I'm putting one of my blue hats into the green suitcase in front of the green player. If I roll the yellow, then I'm putting one of my blue hats into the yellow suitcase in front of the yellow player. Meanwhile, if Emmett is standing in front of the suitcase that you rolled, you can actually put 2 of your tokens in. The goal is to get rid of all the tokens in front of you. If you roll the mouse, then when Emmett opens the suitcase to put something into it, the mouse pops out, Emmett runs away, and the mouse unloads the whole trunk. You get everything that's in that trunk. So now is where you may end up with multiple different things. So you may end up with 1 of each because all different players have been putting these in here the whole game. If you end up with, in your hand in front of you, because now you have all these new clothes you have to pack, but if you are lucky enough to end up with 1 of everything, if I can get my hand out of the way so you can see all of them, then you get to take 1 of each one and put it out of the game. Those 4 are gone. But you have to have 1 of everything in front of you to do that. So, like I said, the ultimate goal is to get rid of all of the clothes in front of you without Emmett dumping them in, without the mouse dumping them out on you. Cute little game. It was enjoyable for what it was. That being said, it again is a game geared towards small children. I do unfortunately have 2 damaged pieces. It looks like a dog got a hold of them prior to it being donated.
The mouse ate
the mouse ate the 2 pieces prior to it being donated to Goodwill. So I think this one is probably going to go back to Goodwill, just because I have been unable to find those 2 pieces to replace them. And cute game though. But yeah, that is the elephant's trunk.
Next, we have a dexterity game, Elk Fest.
We played this at Gen Con years and years and years ago. First time we ever discovered Mayfair Games booth.
And then you had to buy it recently.
I did. I found, well, it hasn't been recently. We've had it for years. I found this at Goodwill a long time ago when I was on my big Goodwill kick. Elk Fest is essentially, it's a little dexterity game for 2 players. You have 2 little moose.
Elk. That's
Sorry.
why it's called Elk Fest, not Moose Fest.
Okay. You have 2 elk. You have 2 rocks on either side of the river, and then you have all these little stones that... I'll pick that one up later. You have all these little stones in the rest 3 videos in a row. I've dropped crap on the floor. At least this time it wasn't the whole game. Anyway, so you're starting out like so. They're spread further
You
apart.
be at least 12 inches apart.
Okay. So you're starting out like so, and you are each turn, you take turns basically shooting your little pieces. This game, this reminded me of Crokinole. But you're taking turns just kind of shooting your pieces and whatever, trying to get them into line. If you can get them into line, you can move your elk across. But he has to be able to stand on both pieces firmly. So I couldn't do it like this because, then he'd be in the water and that's not legal.
That's a wet moose.
That's a wet moose. Elk. So each player is doing this with their pieces, and you can steal each other's pieces and use them. It's the way it works out. It's actually a really cute dexterity game.
Okay. To defend both of us, it starts off 2 moose.
See? There you go.
But the game is called Elk Fest. Is there a problem here? I think so.
Anyway. Very cute dexterity game. That being said, it's not something we are ever going to pull off the shelf, but we are going to put it we are going to put it over into the travel collection. So, but they're cute, if you can manage to okay, there you go. Wet moose to hook them up. Oh, no, that would be a wet moose. So, but the idea is to get across the chasm, the river to the other person's side and be the first one to do it. So, as I said, cute game, but this one is going to go into the travel collection because it is not something we will ever pull off our shelves, but I think it is a cute game. Elk Fest. Okay, next.
Next is a 2-player game called Easter Island.
Yes.
This is one that stayed in our collection for a little bit because I thought she liked it. And
I thought he liked it.
yeah, so it
Eventually,
lasted a little too long.
And it went over to the travel collection because we just never played it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because I thought he liked it and I didn't, and he thought I liked it and he didn't. So we played it again. And after playing it, we actually talked about it, as we've been doing with all of these, as to what we want to do with it. And it is actually going to hit the sale pile. So neither of us enjoy it. I don't think the box is attractive enough to ever come off the shelf anywhere. But this one, what this reminds me of is some of the laser games. Mm-hmm. The laser reflection games.
Yes.
Is exactly what it is.
And if you liked it, you might like this game.
Yeah.
We're not saying it's a horrible game.
Nope. It's just not one we enjoy.
It's just not one we like.
Okay, so here's your board. Picture of Easter Island, I assume. So your playing pieces are these little statues of the statues of Easter Island. These little replicas of the statues on
Sitting
Easter
on
Island.
a triangle base.
Yeah, sitting on a triangle base. So you're putting your statues out, pointing one direction down these grids. And on your turn, you can turn them, or you can move them as far as you want in a straight line forward. Meanwhile, you have these little sun pieces you can also put out on your turn, because you get two actions per turn. You have these sun pieces that you can put out on your turn. You can put one out, or you can flip one over. If you flip one over, the sun rays start going and bouncing off of the statues. They bounce off the sides, but if they hit one directly on the front of the statue or on the back of the statue, it takes them out, and you take that piece off the board. But it will deflect off the sides of the statues. So again, it's a laser deflection game. Interesting in the strategy behind it, but I don't think it's interesting enough for us to ever pull it off the shelf, and I just don't see it coming off the shelf at any event we take it to.
Yeah, no, like we said, don't take what we say is that this game is horrible. I mean, it
is good. It is good for what it does, and I can appreciate the logic behind it. I just don't care for it. Yep.
Or it's a decent strategy game.
It really is a decent.
It does take a lot of strategy
game.
trying to make sure this piece is turned that way, that piece is turned this way
To
before
look
I
how
flip
they
the sun over
bounce
so I
and-
can get their piece off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is Easter Island. It is going to hit the sale pile.
Okay. Next, we're going to a resort. The Epic Resort. And this is another one we got to play with
Doug
from Quaffle Nerds.
Yep. Mary was out of town for work, so.
I was jealous she was heading to Italy.
Oh, so was I. Hope you enjoyed your trip, Mary, even if it was work. But her being gone for work meant we got to have Doug for the weekend and play a whole bunch of games. So, Epic Resort is it's an interesting, well, how would you describe this game? It's not deck building. It's not, well, it kind of is deck building.
It's a tableau builder, maybe?
Tableau.
Because you're getting resort
construction?
pieces to your resort. You're replacing different things in your resort. You're bringing visitors to your resort to score points, but monsters can come out and destroy things in your resort. It can damage your resort. It can eat the people there at the different places. If you don't, you have heroes that come out and protect your different places in the resort. So it's kind of a tableau builder. It's not really a deck builder. It's more of a tableau builder.
Tableau builder.
I mean, it does have deck building in it because you are drafting cards or paying for cards to put back in your deck to be able to use as actions for future
But
rounds.
in doing so, you're taking other cards out of your deck. So you're more modifying. You're not really building.
Yeah, because
your deck.
you're upgrading.
Modifying,
You're what was it called?
You're training.
You're training one like a apprentice into something else, or
Yes.
a street worker into something else.
Yeah.
And the only cards you can do that to are cards that say that you can train them.
Right. Which is most of your cards, except for...
Once you get the trained cards,
and
the
I
trained
have
cards
to
can't
laugh.
be retrained.
Right. And I have to laugh because there is cards in here called the lazy peons.
Yes, there is. And you feed those to the monsters to
Yes.
keep them from doing it.
They can block a monster attack. So, which I find hysterical. But the artwork is cute. I mean, I have no problems with the artwork, but it is a good game. I was actually rather surprised.
We've played this at 2 and 3 players.
Yes.
2 players was kind of...
It was okay.
It was okay, but it wasn't memorable.
Right.
I think 3 and more players, because this
Yeah,
plays
I
up
love
to
the
this play
artwork.
up to 4.
It plays up to 4.
So I think 3 and 4 would probably be the more sweet
Yes.
spots for this game.
Yes. Now we have an expansion too. We've not even dug into.
Yep, that brings villains to it, and the villains act like are kind of like the same as the heroes. They come to your resort, but they won't help you defend your resort
Right.
and different stuff like that.
So, ultimate decision. I think we decided to hold on to this guy because we want to try it some more
We want
and
to try the
play
expansion.
through
We've
it.
not played the expansion
Yeah.
with it yet.
And then after we've played it a few more times, and we'll decide what to do with it then. But we definitely want to explore this one more. We enjoyed it.
And we've had it
That
for
much.
years.
We have.
We've only
We have.
played it twice.
And it's from Floodgate
Floodgate
Games,
Games, yes.
who made Sagrada. I think that's why we picked it up, is we were so enamored with Sagrada that we picked this guy up too, and then it just kind of sat. So I definitely want to explore it more.
Yep.
But anyway, that is Epic Resort, and for now, it will stay on our shelves.
Next we have Evolution. The dynamic game of survival.
Yes, this was another play we got in. When
Yeah, and we've played
Doug
this
was
at
here.
2 and now 3. And
Yes.
yeah, thanks, Doug. He introduced us to carnivores. Because
Yes,
the
he
time
did.
we played, we never played with the
No, we
carnivores.
didn't.
Doug had one of the dinosaurs that was a carnivore.
Oh, he ate your guys once and mine the rest of the game.
Because I learned how to defend myself. And she didn't.
I never got cards to defend myself, but I also did figure out a way that if I kept my size up, then he only ate one of my people, not 2. So I learned to manage it.
Yeah.
Evolution is all about animals and the evolution of such. So you are creating animals out of cards. You are throughout the game. So these cards represent your animals. You keep a track of your body size, of your population and your body size. And then your population goes up and down throughout the game. Your body size just keeps growing. You do so by getting rid of cards out of your hand. You can discard cards to increase your population or body size. There are cards in the game that if you have and they trigger for whatever reason, then that will increase your body size and such. So you are playing out these trait cards throughout the game you can play 3 on each of your animals that give you abilities or give you defenses. Like this one says this species can only be attacked by a carnivore with climbing. So if that species doesn't have climbing, then this guy can get away from it and can't be attacked. This one says that you can discard a card from your hand during the feeding phase to ignore, as a carnivore, to ignore a defensive trait, i.e. that climbing trait I just told you about. Or as a non-carnivore, to take 2 food from the food bank. Well, food is life. You've got to have, if you can't feed your species each round, you lose population.
You lose the population of the ones that didn't get fed.
Right. Anything that didn't get fed is lost. But there's the carnivore, and it states that he has to feed on either another player's animals or one of his own every round. So...
Yeah, and they can't eat the plant food. They
cannot eat
the meat.
plants. All sorts of different things. But you create your animals by playing out 3 different cards on each one of them and then building them up. End of the game is basically how much food you've collected through the game. So after each round, animals feed out of the central pond or off of each other. And in doing so, after that round is over, you collect all that food behind your screen, and that food becomes points at the end of the game. So the more you're able to feed, the more population you have, the more you're able to feed that population, the more points you collect through the game. And then the game runs out when the cards run out. Done. So I think this is the best part of the game for me.
First player marker.
I love the first player marker. It's great. So Enjoyable game at 3 players. We did not enjoy it at 2. But we held on to it because we wanted to give it another shot. And we did. That being said, I think we've decided this guy's going to go into the travel collection.
Mm-hmm.
I see its merits. But at 2 players, we did not enjoy it. And that's how we played most of our games. That is Evolution.
Next, we have 2 games that are similar in style. We have
Yes.
Escape Zombie City and Escape Curse of the Tower.
Yeah, Curse of the
or
Temple.
Curse of the Temple.
Again, another Doug play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he helped us play this one,
Yes.
and we played this on the
Yes.
2-player.
Okay, so basic concept in both of these, same thing. Everybody starts on a central tile with a soundtrack playing in the background. You have 10 minutes on this guy, 15 minutes on this guy. You are running through the temple or the city looking for things. In this one, you are looking for gems so that you can get out. You're looking for the exit, and in the process of... Wow! That was one heck of a box fart. Anyway, you are looking for the exit, and in the process having to decode these different puzzles to get gems into them so that there's less gems in the chest. I can't. Okay, I can move
Okay, I
that.
got all mine unlocked.
I can move here.
I need a torch. Oh, that's that one.
Oh,
Got the torch move there. Oh shoot, I got 3 black ones locked up.
oh crap! Where?
Oh, I can teleport.
Key and a runner. Whew. That's that one. This guy, you are looking for supplies, and this box is not shut all the way. You're looking for different supply tokens that you find in some of the key buildings of the city, and when you have enough of them based on your player count, then you can get into the van, and everybody leaves at the same time. Meanwhile, again, you have this soundtrack playing in the background, adding intensity to it. You're rolling dice, hoping not to lock your dice on you. But this one, you're pulling out zombies every so often. So every time that you pull a new city tile, you're having to pull a zombie tile out too. Or flip a card, and that tells you what happens, whether a new zombie comes out or you have to move certain zombies. If so many zombies get back to the church, then you lose. And the zombies will move based on icons on the board. So...
Both of them come with a CD,
Yep.
but we found on YouTube that had somebody downloaded it on the
yes,
YouTube, and you
so it
can
made
play
it a
off
lot
of YouTube.
easier.
That
So
way you don't have to have a CD player, just a phone to
Yeah.
play YouTube.
we enjoyed both of them. That being said, we don't need both of them in our collection. So I think our ultimate decision was we're going to hold on to this guy. We're going to put this guy in the travel collection. And
see how it does.
So yeah, that is Escape Curse of the Temple and Escape Zombie City.
Next we have Endangered. This one is one we actually played at Dice Tower Retreat.
Yep, we
For
played
the
it.
first time. I had been interested in it, and then we picked this up when Barnes & Noble's had their 50% off sale.
Yes, I think so.
She looked at me puzzled.
I
and know where
couldn't
got the
remember. So this was another one Doug played with us. I think you probably see the theme here. So at 2-player, it was okay. That being said, we've discovered when we played it again that we played something wrong. So that would have definitely changed the game some. So we got another play in of it, this time with the seals, sea lions, whatever. I don't remember.
Otters.
The otters, yes, we played with the otters. The way this one plays, it is cooperative. You are essentially trying to stave off the extinction of one of a couple of different kinds of animals.
And the game comes with tigers and otters.
Yes, and then I guess there are expansions for
Yes, there
other...
are expansions.
And I would actually be curious to see
Yes,
how
I would
they're
like to
different.
get the expansions. Cause
So, this is your tiger board, and then this is your sea otter board. So you've got 2 sides of the board. So how this is playing is that you start the game out with some tigers, and they've got little wooden meeples of the tigers.
on this side, you start out tigers.
Yeah, and then this, you've also got little wooden meeples of sea otters laying on their backs. Each scenario comes with their own set of rules on how the destruction tiles work and
How to
placement,
set it up.
how
The extra
different things.
setup
Yeah, the
for that
extra
scenario.
setup, yes, and destruction rules. Each player starts with a deck of cards. There are a number of different roles that you can play. And each player starts with a deck of cards based on the role that they've chosen to play.
Right. The
So-
philanthropist.
Or the zoologist, or...
And each side has a different thing on
yeah,
it.
they're each a little
One's
different.
a male, one's a female too.
And then you get your 3 dice.
Mm-hmm.
So each round, what you're doing is you have a couple cards in your hand, and you can do one of a few different actions. You can, well, let me rephrase that. You're rolling your 3 dice, and your dice, you place dice out to do the action.
It's a dice placement game.
It is a dice placement game. The board starts with 4 different actions already built in that you can do. Like this one says you can move one animal 1 space. Well, the idea is you want to move the animals away from the destruction tokens.
Yep.
This one is you can pay $1 million, and everybody starts out with some money, and they're all $1 million tokens, to remove 1 destruction token from an adjacent animal. Play 1 card from your hand. There's where the crust of the game is playing the cards from your hand. Because as you play them out, you're giving, and you're playing the cards out here alongside
You're
the
adding
board.
actions to go to.
You're adding more actions for everybody can now do.
Mhm. Now there are cards though that when you play it, it only goes to your
yes,
pile.
your pile, and it's a one-time play, or it can be not retroactive, but it's a continuous play, and it activates throughout the game. There are those, or you have the ones out here that everybody can use. But there are little die slots on here. I don't know if you can see that on the board, but die slots. Now here's the big piece though. Your dice you place out onto these spots, and they stay there till the start of your next turn. They don't come back right away. And any other dice laid here has to be a higher value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lay a 6 down here in removing moving a destruction tile or a deforestation tile in this
Nobody
case,
else is gonna be able to really go there.
nobody else can do that action until you pull that dice back. So you want to try to lay out low numbers, but gosh, at one round I rolled 3 6s last round, last game. So that's where the puzzle comes in, is what can I do that isn't going to block everybody else. And of course, everybody has their special abilities that is a little bit stronger for them if they discard a card. Meanwhile, at the end of every single turn, and this is where we screwed up at the dice towers, we didn't do it every single turn, we did it after each round.
Right.
At the end of each turn, you are rolling a die to see if, one, the animals populate, if
They're
they
grouped in
mate.
2.
And then you're also rolling a die to see which column or which row is going to get a destruction tile. And then if a destruction tile has to be laid down where there are currently animals, that animal leaves the game and it is no longer there. So, meanwhile, and how you win the game, you are trying to get... You have a stack of these
Politician
cards.
countries, I guess it is.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what they call them, but you have a stack of politician cards. Oh, wait a minute. Back up. Because at the end of every turn, you're also playing out a card that is bad. They're impact
Ambassador
cards. Yeah, thank you.
Are the other.
But you're also playing out impact cards that could either have an instant impact or a long-term impact that could just be continuous. So you're having to deal with that issue as well. And then the ambassador cards, you lay out 6 at the beginning of the game. As you are laying out, and the game comes with these green square chits. This is influence. We have since upgraded with green cubes.
We instantly upgraded.
We instantly upgraded with green cubes. You're laying out these influence tokens onto the backs of the card. The minute you lay down one, you can flip it over to see exactly what they require to give you a positive vote against the endangerment of the animals, or against the destruction of the habitats, I guess. So the goal is, by the time you hit the voting rounds, to have 4 of the ambassadors vote yes.
Yeah, and the voting rounds are in a different place depending on how many
Depending on
players
the number
you're
of
playing.
players, yeah.
Like in a 3-player game, it was round 4 and round 6.
5 and 6.
5 and 6. I'm sorry.
Yeah. In a 4-player game, 4 and 5, and in a 2-player game, we got 8 rounds to try to win. So
9 rounds total.
9 rounds total. So yeah, but interesting
interesting game.
Yes, it was.
I really, really enjoyed it.
This one we have kind of said to ourselves that we don't really want to have to pick up expansions to games because
We don't play the games out
unless
enough.
it's going to really change the game around, we don't really need the expansions
Yeah.
to.
Well,
kinda
unless
cut
it
back
comes
on our
off the
spending the
shelf a
games.
lot.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This one though I can see picking up the expansions for
Yeah.
because like you said, each little animal scenario has its own side of this board.
It has its own
Plus
set of
they
cards.
have specific destruction tiles, like the otters have oil spills and the destruction on the tigers is it a fire?
I think it's fire.
Yeah.
Or
And they have their
yeah.
own impact cards.
deforestation, actually.
Deforestation, that's what it was.
So yes, great game. We really enjoyed it. We
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed both plays. I enjoyed the 3-player play much more, especially once we figured out we were playing it wrong. So, anyway, that is Endangered. It will stay on our shelves. Great 2-player or great cooperative game, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
1 to 4 players.
Yep.
And the last one of this series is Everdell. One of the animal-pomorphic games that Mark, from our co-host from the podcast, actually likes.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a video playthrough of this one by request.
Mm-hmm.
Great game. This one is tableau building, it is resource management,
Mm-hmm.
it is worker placement, it is overdone Evertree and the tree's not even in this box, so I can't even show you.
You will put a picture
I will
right
there
here.
you go. We got the collector's edition at Gen Con several years ago, and we have since gotten several expansions. Not all of them, because again, it doesn't come off the shelf very often.
And we didn't get the
curbed-
humongously overproduced box.
No. So we've got a bunch of different, I think we have 7 different player animals. No, we have 11 different player animals you can choose from now because of the expansions we've gotten. But that's okay. They're just colors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, how to explain this one? Because you are
This is a tableau building game.
is a tableau builder where you can have a maximum of 15 cards in your tableau. It plays in essentially 4 seasons. You start out in winter season, and the key on this one, the difference on this one, is that everybody moves through the seasons at their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So you are putting your workers out, you're doing what you can with the resources you've collected. The workers are essentially just to collect resources. So you're putting them out, collecting your resources, using those resources to build your locations. Says you've got all these different cards that are either critters or locations that you're building out of your hand or out of a central meadow into your tableau. But that's how you're using your resources. There are some, if you get a specific building down, a location down, then you can attract, if you have it in your hand or if it's in the meadow, then you can attract the worker that goes there.
For free.
For free. So if I think it's the inn and the shopkeeper, or maybe it's the storehouse and the shopkeeper, I don't remember. But there's a farm and there's a husband and wife. So if I had the farm out, I can collect the husband or the wife for free.
The schoolhouse and school teacher,
Yes.
the courtroom and the judge. And
Yeah, the castle and the queen. So, but if you can get the construction out, you get the critter that goes with it for free. If you don't already have that critter out, if you already have that critter though, then you don't get the building for free. Buildings cost money. So you're using your resources after you've gotten through all of your turns for one season. There's nothing else you can do. The resources you have left won't work with the cards you have. Then you
have no more meeples.
You have no more meeples to put out. Then you pull all your workers back and you move on to the next season. Each season gives you some production bonus, like
not
necessarily production.
It gives you something.
Something. So in each season, you're going to collect a new worker from the board, from the tree, and you're going to, like in the
Spring gives
spring
you
and fall, you get
production.
to produce
Yeah.
based on what you have in your city at the time. And during the summer, you get to pull 2 cards out of the meadow for free. You just not build them, but just pull them into your hand so nobody else can take them. Very interesting game. It's actually a quite long game. It can be.
Yeah,
very
it can
long.
be a really long game, but it runs so smoothly.
It does.
And we played this with Doug again,
Yes.
and actually Ben.
Ben,
And
another
Ben
friend of
actually
ours.
made the comment afterwards he'd seen the game. He really wasn't interested in the game because he wasn't really little cute little animals. Okay, kind of like Mark, but
Yeah.
he actually said he really enjoyed that game.
Oh, good. I must have been out of the room when he said that.
Mhm.
So, this one's staying in our collection. Just to get that out of the way. It's a great game. Lots of moving pieces. And like I said, it runs really smoothly for what
Mhm.
it does. So, yeah, that is Everdell. And that is it for this episode. We have another episode of Ease coming,
Yeah.
hopefully in the next few weeks.
And it's off to the F's.
And then off to the F's. But one more stack of E's. A lot of games in that next E's.
Mhm.
So yeah, that is all for this episode. Please leave us some comments if there's any of these were your favorites, if we made the wrong decision. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear if any of these struck with you differently than they did with us.
Mhm.
So, but until then,
We'll see you at the next one.